Hey, what's going on? What's happening? This is week number 9, and this is your Golden Dark Day. Coming to you live with this episode. So, if you're not already, make sure that you comment on this episode, week number 9, like, subscribe to it, subscribe to my channel. And then also make sure that you follow this same name on IG, Golden Dark Dane, also on IG. So make sure you do that so you can stay in the loop and current on my episodes, which most of them, if not all of them, thus far have been live. So this week was on speed, wrapping Black History Month and starting off March to acknowledge Women's History Month, International Women's Day, and starting Sunday, March 7th, Multiple Sclerosis or MS Awareness. Of course, Black history is to be commended, recognized, and celebrated beyond a single month. So make sure you continue paying attention for Black history makers. There's always history in the making. This past weekend was inclusive of the first Verzuz battle that wasn't an actual battle, but a single artist had in person features of others rotate, joining them with hits. The D'Angelo versus Friends situation at the historical Apollo Theater included drop ins by none other than rappers Redman and Method Man and soul singer or R&B singer HER. And there was also an instrumentalist who accompanied D'Angelo. It was the first artist to join D'Angelo on this stage. Not sure what his name is, and I don't remember what instrument he played, but there was also an instrumentalist that dropped in on that verses. And it was a little bit underwhelming to me. I think it would have been, excellent had the Friends been inclusive of featuring Raphael Sadiq, since he and D'Angelo have a track that they collaborated on called "You Should Be Here." There was also a music video for that song, as well as, and I mentioned it on the previous episode. It would have been, mind blowing if it would have been possible for Lauryn Hill to be one of those friends featured on this version of Versus. But actually, HER, with her having come through, she actually did a cover version singing along with D'Angelo to the track that he and Lauryn Hill collaborated on, which was on the movie soundtrack, I think, Down in the Delta. And the very popular track was Nothing Even Matters. So HER covered that song, obviously, in place of Lauryn Hill not being the one to, show up and surprise everybody, which I'm sure D'Angelo would have been equally surprised. D'Angelo seemed to have been surprised by the appearance of every artist that came through, with possibly the exception of the instrumentalist, because he did say that individual is a member of his band. So, but he definitely, looked genuinely shocked when Red&meth popped up and they rapped. They have at least 2 tracks with D'Angelo, one of which was on D'Angelo's second album. And the track that they all did together is called Left and Right. And then there was also another track that another song that they have, and I don't recall the source of, like what album that song was featured on, possibly on the soundtrack. I honestly cannot remember. But again, they performed both of those songs with D'Angelo at the Apollo. Um, it was a cool look. D'Angelo came on there. He was smoking, and it looked like he was smoking a real cigarette, which was off-putting in appearance because I don't know if there's probably just a handful of states or where it's that even would have certain venues where it's legal to smoke indoors, but apparently they made an exception for him, I guess just because it was going to be you know presumptuously 10 people or less in the theater, and I'm sure it's been vacant for months, so maybe they didn't feel like him smoking in there was going to create a huge issue as far as it being aired out afterward. But anyway, a lot of people seemed, excited to see D'Angelo. We haven't seen him in a few years, with the exception of, whatever rounds he's been making with his band. And D'Angelo has a total of 3 albums. So, he's pretty popular, and a lot of people compare the likeness of his music and his visual style to that of Erykah Badu. So, for some reason, that had never crossed my mind prior to the night that this Verzuz came on. But once it came on, I had a conversation with somebody. They brought that up, and then watching the battle on Instagram, I noticed that somebody else had made a similar statement comparing D'Angelo to Erykah Badu. So that was pretty humorous to me, and it helped that ideal sink in to me. So I could see that at that point. But yeah, that was how this latest Verzuz went down. Definitely cannot wait to see who's going to be next up. Maybe they'll get some beat rappers to battle. Maybe Twista and somebody else. I don't know. I haven't heard any rumors as far as who's coming up next on the potential schedule for Versus. So I guess it's a matter of all of us waiting to see. So moving on from that, also what tapered off the end of last week and started off this week was features of the Golden Globe Awards, and some of the looks of actors and actresses who were nominated. So some of the winners, just want to highlight some of the winners from the Golden Globes, because again, this is evident of Black history here. There was singer Andra Day, who played a leading role in the movie Billie Holiday versus the United States, and she won in the category that she was nominated in. And this was her first go around, as far as I want to say, not only being featured in a motion picture, but automatically and also with having a leading role. That's inclusive of her, what I know to be her original craft, which is singing. So she won in her nominated category. as well as the late actor Chadwick Boseman. So he was posthumously awarded with a Golden Globe for his role in the movie Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And this is a movie that I have not yet seen, but I'm definitely intending on checking it out, considering the award going to the character that Boseman played in that film. I know that it's based on actual characters, and so I do plan on seeing that. And going back to the looks of some of the actresses, were inclusive of stunning dresses, stunning gowns worn by Regina King, by Viola Davis, and I don't know if she was dressed for the awards or what the case was, because when I saw her picture, I couldn't tell where she was, but I'm going to go ahead and presume that this stunning and gorgeous look sported by Tiffany Haddish was also for the occasion of the Golden Globes. And I mean, when I saw her photograph, I was like, I was wowed. I mean, I already thought that she's a beautiful woman, but she looked again stunning with not only with her gown and the design of that and the way that it fit her, but also her look, her total look from head to toe, including her hair. She had a tint hair color, appeared to be probably some shade of golden golden blonde or brownish blonde. I can't even start to guess the name of the hair color, but she looked gorgeous. So again, sizing that look up to have been in the spirit of the Golden Globe Awards. And there are still more awards presentations scheduled to come, including the NAACP Image Awards. So there's still more upcoming award shows to tune into, check for, see who's going to win. Now, my review on the long awaited Coming to America sequel, Coming to America. Same title as the original. The only difference is the word to now on the new version being the number 2. Sequel, Coming to America, finally came to TV screens by way of Amazon Prime streaming service. And I saw something that stated apparently the movie was released a day early. Originally, it was slated to be made available not until Friday, March the 5th, but I saw something that said that the movie was available a day prior. I'm not sure why that was. It kind of makes me curious to know why. But, that actually may be an unfounded rumor. There may not even be any truth to that. Anyhow, the movie finally came. So now it's here for us all to rewatch as much as we would like to, and to continue to compare it to the original version as as deemed needed. So I am luckily able to say that my foresight wasn't tainted by the opinions of people who watched and commented on Coming to America before I watched it. And I'm so glad, because my theory, my presumption about how the movie was going to be, I was already on the fence, in my mind, if it was going to be, worth the assault, if it was going to be any good, if it was going to suck. So I already had that preoccupation. So based on that, I'm glad that, again, I didn't end up coming across any commentary about it before I was able to make the time to watch the movie, and to do so with as much of a non-discriminatory eye as possible. Being a writer, that can be difficult to do. I feel like I was fairly successful in watching the movie from the perspective of a general moviegoer. So, to point out some of the new or added roles in this movie compared to those which were, carried over from the original first Coming to America, there were just a handful that I want to touch on, that were actually, highlighted or key roles. And that was the roles of General Izzy, which was played by Wesley Snipes. 100% humor by him, no fail. Other new roles connected to that character were that of Rotimi, actor, rapper, as we know as Dre from Power. And he played General Izzy's son. Not sure what the character's name was, but just looking at him, even though that role was a small part and they didn't show him that much, it was still funny to see him on there just based on the mannerisms with him constantly swinging this, sideburn braid or lock that he had. It just kind of gave him, somewhat of an effeminate appearance, or, I guess to indicate some level of softness or just preoccupation with the wrong thing. And then also another new role was by Tiana Taylor, playing the daughter of General Izzy, as well as, to be made a hopeful princess by way of being presented to become married to Prince Akeem's son once and after Prince Akeem realizes that he has a son, goes to get his son from America and takes him back to Zamunda in Africa. So Taylor's role was also, on the short side, but it was cool to see her. She got to literally work out some of her, choreography display, I want to say, capability. She had a couple of moves that she did, and she's a singer, so she's that comes with her territory from her when she performs. So she did a little bit of that, and then aside from that, it was, I want to say, for her character, was all about her look, and she looked beautiful. They showed a close up of her when they first introduced her character. The first thing that she had on the screen, and she looked beautiful. Like it was successful. So, some of the other new characters were those, obviously, of being offspring of the main character role, which there's Prince Akeem, Eddie Murphy, and again, his son, can't remember the character's name, but the actor's real name is Jermaine Fowler, who played the son of Prince Akeem. And this particular actor has a history of stand-up comedy, and so this was his first motion picture role, as far as I know. So this was his introduction to a big screen, and I live in Washington D.C., and Jermaine Fowler is actually a native of Prince George's County, which is in the state of Maryland, so surrounding area of Washington D.C. So he's from around the parts that I live in. And then also characters that play his siblings were also new faces, new roles. Two of those three that I'll name were Bria Murphy. So she's actually a real life daughter of the character Prince Akeem, Eddie Murphy. She played one of his kids in the movie. She played the role of one of his kids in the movie, as well as the actress who played Prince Akeem's oldest daughter. And what is her name? Her name is, her name is Kiki Lane. And she is from Cincinnati, Ohio, which is my home state. So represent Ohio. That was surprising news to see. And, it's just also, motivating, and just gives me personally a sense of pride just to see somebody from my home state, which I feel is strongly underrepresented and underappreciated, for proverbially pumping out stars as a whole. So she can be included as another one and, gaining her start by starring in this movie, this major motion picture. Again, Kiki Lane, Cincinnati, Ohio native, representing my home state of Ohio. So congratulations to her. Her role, once she found out that, they have this older brother being Jermaine Fowler, the focus on her character, which was in the movie Mika, was very brief touch in the storyline, which I wish they would have actually focused on it a little more than they did. But they made the topic of her character being that, well, why can't she be the heir to the throne of Prince Akeem, despite Prince Akeem finding out that he has a son? And, the position was automatic disregard of consideration for Mika taking the throne, partially due to her gender and being a female, a woman. So I wish they would have, like I said, kind of fleshed that topic out a little more for exploration. I think it would have been useful in helping to understand the culture of royalty and how it can go. But yeah, so again, inspiring to be aware of where some of these up and coming actors and actresses have come from, and making a major move, being featured in this long awaited film. So now my general opinion overall of Coming to America, the sequel, is that again, I did my best to watch it with it emotionally, from an emotionally subjective stance, and with a subjective eye as a standard, as a general moviegoer. And I feel that the story came together successfully. And I also want to touch on the wardrobe because, I mean, there were some undoubtedly eye-catching pieces in this movie. So, um, you always have to analyze the wardrobe. There's no ignoring that when it comes to a movie such as this, because again, it's a factor of the representation of culture based on whatever the story is that's being told. And so for a movie like this, where it's set in a different country, that matters. Wardrobe will matter. So great looks. Some notable ones to me were that of what the actress Leslie Jones sported. She played the mother of Prince Akeem's unknown and estranged son. But when she came to Zamunda with her son, and the robes that were given to her were inclusive of some headpieces, one of which had some, obviously to me it's memorable, included some hanging fringe, which caught my eye off that. And I think that they only showed a view of her in that outfit maybe 3 times, but every time that they showed her, I was waiting for it. I anticipated it. So it's great looks. I want to say halfway through to the end of the movie, Sherry Hetley's character, which was the princess married to Prince Akeem, the attire they had her in was, I want to say it was good up until, again, about halfway through. And then from that point through the end, it seemed to appear as more and more average materials that she was wearing, that her character was wearing. And I think my opinion was of her wardrobe is highly based on the role of her character in the movie, because she's in real life, and as well as her character is a bit of an older woman. She's a mature adult. 50s and age 50 bracket. But I feel that was kind of reflected in the attire of her character, unfortunately. I think that the clothing that she wore should have been dressed up a little bit more. It could have included an array of colors. It seemed to get flat again as the movie progressed. Everything that you ended up seeing her in the next, from one outfit to the next, it seemed to become duller and duller in appearance and plainer in appearance. The last dress that they showed her wearing was a single toned of yellow, and it had the appearance of jewels that were attached to it. So something like that is what I'm thinking of when I say that her appearance seemed to become plainer and plainer, gradually become that way, because a dress like that, it could have been given a more elegant appearance if some of those jewels were beyond just one, single color or one single type of jewel or stone, whatever that material may have been. It could have included at least, one type of colored jewel to accompany those clear jewels that were on that flat yellow dress. And the dress itself, the material looked, I don't want to say cheap, but I'll say it looked low grade. It didn't look like royal material. It didn't look like something that a queen would wear if she was going to step out onto, you know, uh, a large floor to make an announcement. It didn't look regal. The material didn't look regal. So it actually detracted from her actual role. That's just something that caught my attention. It's not a make or break to the story or the movie as a whole, but again, just in regards to the wardrobe, relating to the culture and the representation, in that sense, I think that it does make a difference. And to me and to my eyes, it did make a difference. So that's just a point where, it could have been higher up than it was. And I also felt let down by the lack of styling of her, the same actress, Sherry Haley, lack of styling of her hair. And I really wonder why that was the case. I wonder if it was due to personal preference or, if it was a professional decision, for the, actual movie casting or styling. I really wish that, again, her entire look, including her hair, would have been inclusive of some culture, visual culture. They could have given her, without going overboard and without taking her out of, the appearance of her age appropriate appearance of her age, they could have given her some, minimal amount of twists or braids, to again help represent the culture and her appearance. She looked very plain. She looked plain overall. And a large part of that, aside from her clothing, aside from her character's wardrobe, and probably even bigger, more majorly, really was from the lack of styling of her hair. Her hair was straight, flat, single note, black color. Maybe even if they would have incorporated some highlights in her hair, but still I probably would have desired to see some braids or twists, some cornrows, just a few cornrows, like just something to represent Africa, to speak Africa through her hair. And that was not the case at all. So that was a letdown because I think that would have caused her character to stand out even more so visually and have a more relevant feel, even in the tone of the movie itself. And even though she had minimal lines, again, I think what I'm saying about her hair still would have made a difference in helping her literally visually stand out. And would have made her role a little more relevant as well. So that could have been better as well. Aside from those things, though, like I said, Leslie Jones' wardrobe was on fleek. Arsenio Hall, I think when they showed them all in the hall, when I think it was the first kind of ceremonial party where Prince Hakim's son was present with them in Zamunda. I think it was the first night of that. the attire, the blazer, the jacket, whatever it is that Arsenio Hall was wearing, it was like this white or pearlescent white color. It was hot, and I didn't even get that good of a look at it because they seem to have shown it so briefly and so quickly. But from what I could tell, that was very nice. I want to say everything that they had Eddie Murphy wear was nice, and yeah, overall, generally speaking, to summarize, anytime they showed scenes and where everybody was in Zamunda, everybody's attire was a thumbs up. It was, something to be seen and catching your eye. So I can say that about Coming to America, the long-awaited sequel ever since 1988, finally came to fruition, hitting screens in 2021. And among all the press that had seen leading up to this release, for some reason, whenever there was a reference made to, the majority of the cast, being included on this sequel, for some reason, I didn't see any mention, with the exception of one article specifically, of the one original cast member that was not brought back, that could not be brought back because of the fact that she is deceased, and that character is Prince Akeem's mother, the Queen, Aeolian, which was played by the late actress Madge Sinclair. Every article that I saw that referenced her character, or her as a cast member, did not actually state her name, which was odd to me and actually a little disrespectful. She has a name. Even though she's dead and gone, she has a name. And she was a notable actress. She was a noteworthy actress. She was from Jamaica originally, and she had a considerable acting resume and career. It's noteworthy. So I made sure that I included her image on the profile imagery for this week's episode. Remember Queen Aeolian's from Coming to America's real name, Madge Sinclair. Rest her soul. And hopefully she was smiling, her spirit was smiling on this sequel of Coming to America coming about, since nobody said her name. I've said it, so there it is. And I will be watching this movie again because so far I've only watched it once. So I have to watch it at least one more time. So moving on to popular culture and some other entertainers' business, I want to touch on Lady Gaga's situation with her dogs that were obtained from her dog walker. Apparently her dog walker got shot in the process. Dogs stolen from the dog walker. Lady Gaga puts out a cash reward for these dogs to be returned. Let's stop right there. Why would you be so pressed, seemingly more pressed, to get your dogs back over the condition of your dog walker? Because that's how that sounds off the top. I didn't see any reports that were inclusive of Lady Gaga making a statement, like, like a recorded statement, a verbal statement. I think that would have been a better move for her. A more, what's the word I'm trying to think of? A more humanitarian like move, action for her to have taken versus just offering a reward for her dogs to be returned. I'm talking about some dogs. But it's just evidence of how much more people value the lives of animals over other human beings. And it's a crying shame. It's beyond a crying shame. It's shameful. 200% shameful. But and then her dogs were returned to her. I wonder how much time it took in between her, announcing the cash reward for that to happen up until it happened. Because the whole situation seems highly suspicious to me. It seems suspicious to me, just like thinking about, I don't know, how would somebody who heard about her cash reward offer be able to identify her dogs? Number one. Number two, to a point of being able to obtain the dogs themselves in order to, number three, return the dogs to Lady Gaga, because based on the report I heard, that is the manner in which the dogs were returned to her. Like some woman brought the dogs, or else, went to the police with the dogs, something along those lines. But it was a matter of like a direct, transaction, so to speak, as far as these dogs, physically being handed over to authorities. And so that's what makes it seem really highly suspicious to me. It's it's just highly questionable scenario all the way around. And who knows why? Conspiracy theory. This was planned out for some reason. Is it possibly some insurance scheme ploy for Lady Gaga to be able to benefit from? I mean, that's I would like to think that's possible, that's probable. I'm gonna go ahead and presume, I'm gonna go ahead and presume that people are able to insure their animals, their pets. And these dogs that Lady Gaga had are highly expensive dogs. They're rare, like they're bred dogs, I guess rare breed. Either way, they're so costly pets, which would explain why she offered a cash reward to get them back. But on the flip side of that same token, I wonder if she had any plans, if weeks would have passed without the dogs being brought back to her. Would she have been, in a position to replace those same dogs? It makes me wonder. And again, to know that reportedly the dogs were, able to be put back in her possession, and it seems shortly thereafter, just makes the situation seem like there's more to the story than what was reported and has been reported publicly. So it's just strange to me. It's strange to me. It could not have been something totally random. And I think that's the most direct comment I can make as far as sizing that situation up to be suspicious. Yeah, so she got her dogs back. And I guess she feels better, even though her dog walker got shot, which is pretty jacked up. Obviously, they could have died. And I don't even remember if they even said that the dog walker is going to be, if they're going to recover successfully, they're going to be all right. I don't know, but anyway, that's what happened with that. Lady Gaga and her dogs, and I just think it's questionable. So, anywho, next topic is posting by fans mostly is that of celebrity birthdays, inclusive of the ones I have seen recently are those of somebody that's been considered my celebrity twin over many years. People always say that we look alike, which I disagree. But she's beautiful in her age nonetheless, and that is from the group TLC member Chili, and her real name is Rosanda Thomas. So she turned 50 years old within the past few days. And like I said, she still looks great. Saw several posts about her birthday and just commenting on how much she still looks the same from when she was younger. So she's 50 now. Also, who else's birthday came up here lately? Actually, a couple from January. I know that Mari Hardwick's birthday was a few weeks ago in January. And don't know how old he is, but he just celebrated a birthday. And as well as Christian Bale. He just had his birthday. But that was also during the month of January that his birthday came and passed. So yeah, I mean, there's always somebody's birthday all the time. But those are just a couple. And happy birthday to them. May they age well or continue to age well. Hopefully age well or continue to age well. Moving on to another topic pertaining to reality celebrity, if you want to consider her that. We're talking about loose skin, loose flesh. So somebody listen, when you get on, it doesn't matter who you are, when you get on social media, you're opening yourself up to opinions, period. And that was no exception, even though she thought it would be or should have been for herself. It was no exception for K. Michelle. She got on Instagram Live, apparently, and was dancing, and she turned sideways, and it was undeniably visible this loose skin that she has in the area of her gluteus minimus. And it was droopy. And so naturally, people commented about it. And K. Michelle reacted sensitively. And I guess I want to say also self-pandering, because her response was explaining, trying to partially explain slash chastise anybody who actually commented about her droopy skin shaking while she was dancing and turning sideways for it to be seen on video. But so you have a sensitive response to people saying something, saying anything about what you got on a video and made visible for all to see. Tell me when, where, and how that makes sense. I didn't see it while it was in progress, but I saw obviously an aftermath or replay, so to speak, and it looked crazy. It looked crazy. And like I said, part of her response was explaining, I told you all that I've posted telling you all that I had multiple surgeries in order to save my life because I had botched plastic surgery and injection. Okay. If you want to educate folks, that's one thing. There's more than one way to educate, and the manner in which you chose to so-called educate didn't yield the reaction that you thought it would. So who should really be chastised here? Not the commenters. Not the commenters. Your approach was wrong. Your approach was not effective. Your approach was not well thought out. And wearing some fitted garment, dancing, turning sideways for your jiggly skin to be seen. If you didn't expect there to be some commentary that you may not have found to be favorable or encouraging or supportive, because what is that to show on a video to gain encouragement about? Not everybody has been following your posts preceding that live video with you dancing and your loose flesh sagging, being seen, being visible. So not everybody is aware of your situation that you state that you already explained and shared about. Okay. Your IG Live video may have been the very first time somebody was looking at you. So you can't get nobody be mad at but yourself, for real, for real. If you're going to be mad at anybody at all, check yourself. Hopefully she recognizes and understands that at this point. Sorry, K. Michelle, you had a poor approach. You get back what you give. Maybe better luck next time. Maybe you should have actually gotten on IG Live and talked and verbally explained instead of dancing and shaking and turning sideways with your skin hanging, looking weird, because that's not something that anybody sees commonly. So of course people are going to question that, seeing something like that. But it is what it is. On to the next celebrity news. I mean, these relationships continue to crumble. It seems like more of them are crumbling than coming together. And there are some that are coming together, but again, most of them are falling apart. So the latest one that I know of is that of rapper Exhibit is now in the divorce arena. His wife, Krista, is filing for divorce from Exhibit after 6.5 years of marriage and their 2 kids together. I'm not sure as to the reason why, but that's the news that I know of. So she's seeking to divorce him, not the other way around, and that's all I know. That's all I've seen. That's all I read about. And you know, I want to say geographically speaking, yeah, it's very close to home because presuming that he's still on the West Coast where he was repping when he was a rapper, when he was on on the charts. Dr. Dre is also out there and he's going through his divorce right now. So what's swirling in the air out in Cali? What's happening? But it sounds like the California dreams are turning into nightmares. But yeah, and Dre, for some, I don't know, maybe it's the after effect of his aneurysm that he endured, but putting out a diss track talking about his soon-to-be ex-wife, like, what grown man does that? What prominent millionaire man does that? I mean, I haven't listened to it. I don't know what the contents are, as far as the actual lyrics, but I just heard a snippet, and I mean, it sounds lame at most. Like, it just seems it's even less than immature. It's just loopy. Again, maybe an effect of the result of his brain aneurysm. So, yeah, but that's what Dre's on right now. Dr. Dre making diss tracks about his soon-to-be ex-wife. But some guys stoop that low and, lack that much respectability. Anyhow, another crumbled relationship is inclusive of Lamar Odom and his fiance calling it off. So, yeah, they're no longer happening. And he actually stated he was griping and complaining, stating his thoughts and feelings about the situation. Saying that he feels like his ex-fiancee Sabrina Parr, who is I believe she's a fitness trainer. At minimum she was doing that when they met. But he said that he feels like she used him for clout. So, okay. Is there anything else? Like, I mean, if you're gonna moan and gripe about why your relationship has failed, I would hope that a person would have more than that to say. It's just a single note issue. But even with that being said, I don't think he was specific. He also claimed that she used him for, I guess, reality TV, viewer counts, and he didn't. And this is the thing that doesn't make sense to me. He said he didn't know. He said he had no idea. Is what he said. How can you not have any idea if you are being featured on, number one, a production, number two, a reality TV production, number three, don't realize that that's why you're being included by way of being my future spouse. And yeah, we're getting taped for this production that's going to be a show, like at minimal. How could you not be aware? Listen, for anybody who may have forgotten, Lamar Odom is he's either an addict or a recovering addict. Either way, the word addict is in his status, okay? So I feel like it's smart to just take anything that he has to say when it comes to this with a grain of salt. This was your fiance. And you say she was trying to use you for clout. This is not somebody that you was just dealing with, every now and then on a touch and go basis. This was your fiance. So I think he just, provided a very low level of, a victim cry. Very low level though. Like that's the best thing he could come up with to say about this to the public. Yeah, he felt like she was using him for clout. Because what does Lamar Odom do now? Aside from, presumably continuing to be in the drug recovery process, what is he actually doing? For a living? Anything? And I'm not trying to shame him if he's not. I'm just, genuinely putting that question out. If anybody can answer it, please feel free to do so in the comment section. Let me know what I'm missing about Lamar Odom as far as why his fiance was supposedly using him for clout and he didn't realize it. Next. Also, yeah, we got, Kanye and Kim. Okay. I don't really know any details about them too, but they're going through a divorce as well. So include them on the list with this topic of, clearly crumbling relationships. Theirs have been crumbling over the course of the past couple years. And honestly, like when they first got together, I would like to say that I felt like it was just a matter of time of counting down how long it would be that they would stay together. So they're going through it now, through this process of splitting things up, things getting divvied out. So Kim and Kanye. And so next topic, touching on TV content details, upcoming network TV. So, actually referring to a premium cable network that featured the show Power and is going to feature the spinoffs, from what I know, presumably Starz Network, but definitely talking about the Power spinoffs, shows, casting. So additional actors on upcoming and premiering spinoff seasons and episodes are still being announced. And so most recently seeing headlines about additional cast members being included on upcoming spinoff, Power spinoff, that is 3, which is going to be Raising Kanan, and is slated to premiere this summer 2021, is surprising to me, including actress Patina Miller. She's going to be in Raising Kanan, as well as an actor, a veteran actor that pretty much most of us, if not all of us, definitely know of, and hopefully all of us love. I don't think I've ever seen him in any trash role, but we all definitely know his name. Omar Epps is also going to be on Power spinoff Part 3, Book 3, Raising Kanan. So that's a surprise to me. It's a pleasant surprise to see that. Like, cool. It actually makes me a little amped to see it, considering that Raising Kanan is going to focus on the character Kanan from Power, played by 50 Cent. And I feel like that this spinoff is going to be an additional continuation of talking about 50 Cent's life, like his real life. That's the impression that I get. I just do. I don't have any evidence to back that up. That's just how I feel about it. That's just the vibes I get when I see, like, the trailers, the previews for this show, Raising Kanan. So again, it gives me some eagerness now knowing that Omar Epps is going to be on there. So I think that's pretty cool. And then also some more cast members have been announced for, Power spinoff 4, which will be Force, and that's going to focus on Joseph Sikора's character, which is Tommy. So they actually swapped positions of that spinoff with what would have been the book titled Influence, which is going to focus on the character Governor Tate, which is played by Lorenz Tate. So originally, book 4 was going to be Influence, and then following that was going to be book 5, which was going to be Force, focusing on the character Tommy. But that has been swapped as far as the chronology now. So it's cool. Both book 2, Ghost, and book 3, Raising Kanan, are anticipated to come on and to return sometime this summer 2021. No specific dates have been announced just yet. Now, going back to regular TV network, ABC is going to have a show that is in the works. There's going to be a show on ABC that's going to tell the story, a fictitious story about 4 female rappers who used to be in a group, and they're going to seek to come back together and, reunite and go on tour possibly. So now, the controversy that's building up, the real life controversy that's building up around this fictitious story, comes down to the name of the name that this group had in the story. The name of the drama is called Queens. Okay, that sounds all right. It sounds decent, relevant, right? But the name of the group, this former group that's going to be seeking to reunite and get back together and possibly do some things and perform their music again, is what's a problem and not right. The name of this fictitious group in this story is the Nasty Bitches. Now, initially, I didn't take issue to that because I perceived it as it's a name that it's the type of name for a group that would have been controversial. And I think that's where my perception began and ended. But when I read that information again, yeah, it definitely hit closer to real life to me, which makes it seem excessive for a story, for any show. And again, hitting to real life, to reality, disrespectful. It would be a disrespectful depiction and interpretation and perception of not only Black women, but in general, women. And so read deeper that into telling a story about, women in the music industry, in the rap industry. And, that was a rare thing. So it's unnecessary to have a reference such as that in thinking of and depicting, whatever the story is going to cover. A name like that for a group being fictitious is something that can be and should be edited, should be done away with, because ultimately it's going to distract from the story itself, in my opinion. The description of the show in general seems like something that I would be up for watching. But again, hopefully ABC, writers, cast, director, whomever is gonna, make a better choice and, just make a smarter decision when it comes to that. So moving on. As it pertains to real life all the way around, I would like to know, and again, feel free to post in the comments at any point while you're listening to this episode, and even, other episodes of this week. Always share your comments and your thoughts so I can come back to them and read them over. But I want to know, with vaccines now becoming more widely available and changes being implemented as far as, people who were not previously able to receive them, and those people now being able to receive them, whether the restriction was based on age or, health status or employment classification. These vaccines are being more widely made available now. So what I want to know is, for you? How does that play into your openness, your interest in events being virtual or going back to reality and being handled as in-person events, getting closer back to the regular standard of how things were pre-COVID, since these vaccines are out and coming out more and more now for people to be able to take. I want to know, share in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about that. Seeing as how last weekend was inclusive of the C2A basketball tournament occurring virtually instead of for the first time in Baltimore as originally planned, because you may be able to get a vaccine now sooner rather than later if it's something that you originally anticipated not being able to receive until later this year, beyond your own control. Is that push up of the availability of it to you now something that would cause you to reconsider or consider at all your stance on traveling? And I'm asking this question being relative again to event destinations. So this weekend is the kickoff of All-Star Weekend in Atlanta, Georgia. And from what I know of, it's being treated like standard as an in-person event, right? It's over the course of what, 4 or 5 days, 3 to 5 days. And also knowing that restrictions, COVID gathering restrictions and protocols have been lifted in more than a handful of states and more specific locations, safely to assume that that's in association with higher vaccination accessibility. What was your stance prior to the vaccines, being approved as far as traveling goes? Do you feel like the vaccines will be effective enough for you to comfortably decide that you want to start making travel plans again? And or if you already received a vaccine, do you still feel like you're going to limit or else not seek to travel anytime within the next 6 months? So these are the questions I would like to see your comments on. I just want to know where people stand on that, because it's very hard to tell. It's very difficult to recognize what and how people are thinking about this all, and how these changes with the restrictions again are being lifted. But I think the ultimate concern overall is, as far as COVID goes, is infection, reinfection, if protocols are being done away with. And I ask these questions, I put these questions out again to know specifically how these things personally actually affect you directly, not your presumptions and not your projections upon other people's activities and not based upon what you may see other people highlighted in news stories doing and where people on the news are going and whatnot. I want to know how these things impact you personally based on your activities, based on your health status, and based on your intentions when it comes to the vaccinations, receiving one, having already received one, and if you're going to revert to a way of life that is more reflective of pre-COVID standards. So I hope to see you guys' comments about those things, because I think that you got to start thinking ahead when it comes to that. If you do feel comfortable with the idea of starting to travel again, the time to make those plans, consider those accommodations, the best time to do it is actually right now. It's the start of a new month. Springtime and summertime are around the corner, and they will be here before we know it. Hopefully. I say hopefully. So these are things to consider sooner rather than later as far as anticipation traveling. So hopefully you'll let me know your thoughts. And you'll also like this week, number 9 episode, and subscribe to my profile, subscribe to my channel, so that if I double back on this topic, you can see feedback from this portion of this episode. And so finally, I so happened to come across some new music just within the past less than 48 hours. So if you didn't know, you may easily be surprised at who this music is released by. To include artists, SZA, she has a song called Good Days. Drake featuring Rick Ross, new track out. Wait for it, you might be surprised. Classic, old school rapper, Big Daddy Kane. Full album. Yes, again, released. Released to my knowledge within the past 48 hours. Full album titled The Legend. And a track, or album rather, by Nas. And I have yet to actually listen to this. I just happened to catch a glimpse of that by Nas in writing. So yeah, there's new music out by those folks. Newly released music out, I'll put it like that, by those folks. So yeah, search for it, check it out for yourself. Let me know how you think about that as well. Comment and share your thoughts on those sounds once you hear them. Yeah, so can't wait to see what you guys think about all these things, all these topics. If you like my style and you dig my flow, subscribe to this Golden Dark Dame for the future episodes. All right. That's all I got for this time around. I appreciate you watching and listening. I more appreciate your comments and your subscriptions. Share this with your people, share this with your friends, anybody that this information may pertain to, can relate to. And thank you for checking me out, for checking all this out. This has been week number 9. And so until the next time, keep checking for me.